Washington, D.C.'s bus network is about to dramatically change, so today we're riding the weirdest bus route that's about to disappear. The Washington, D.C. area is completely redesigning its bus system for the first time. No route will stay the same, no map left unchanged. Mark your calendars for June 29th when the Better Bus Network goes into effect. The current bus system might seem a little bit confusing to somebody not familiar with it. Route 43, Route D6, 29N? There is some logic to the route naming convention, but things have been this way since 1973. Back then, the routes of 4 local bus companies were taken over by the Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority, an agency that had been founded 6 years earlier to build the metro. When they took over and created Metrobus, they also took over the route names. The route numbers in DC were created by the Capital Transit Company in 1936. Streetcars were given a double-digit number, the first digit indicating the line that it used. The buses were given a letter and then a number, this time the letter indicating the street that it took to reach downtown. Though Congress forced the Capital Transit Company's successor, DC Transit, to replace streetcars with buses, the replacement buses kept the numbers. The bus system in Prince George's County, Maryland used the same system, so when they became part of WMATA, they added an extra digit to these routes to set them apart from the DC routes. In Virginia, the buses had been using a number followed by a letter, so WMATA kept that. So as you can see, it makes sense, sort of, but what if it made more sense? That's what officials at WMATA asked themselves as they set out to redesign the bus network. Through research and public feedback, they developed the Better Bus Network. Routes have been redrawn to better serve modern travel patterns, and up to 500 stops around the region are being removed to speed up the journey. The change will be overnight, although the preparations have been already happening. There are more and more signs across the region showing both the existing bus that stop there as well as the new names of the buses that will stop there starting June 29th. That's when every single route number is going to change to provide consistency. Routes that primarily serve DC will start with either a D or a C, followed by 2 digits. Routes in Montgomery County will start with an M, routes in Prince George's County will start with a P, in Arlington, Virginia, they'll start with an A, and any guesses for Fairfax, Virginia? Yeah, that's right, an F. None of the routes that we've grown used to will exist anymore, which means that for me, it is time to document some of the more interesting bus routes that are slated to disappear. Today we're going to look at DC's weirdest Metrobus route, next week we'll do Maryland, and after that, Virginia. Let me introduce you to the weirdest bus in Washington, D.C. for the next few weeks at least. So in today's video, we're going to look at a weird bus route from Washington, D.C. Now, picking just one was actually pretty hard. There's a lot to choose from. At first, I was considering maybe talking about the school routes. Buses which are open to the public, but they only run on days that schools are in session. Many of them only run once a day or only in one direction, one is even a loop. But ultimately, when it comes to weird bus routes in Washington, D.C., the N2, N4, and N6 kept coming back to me, specifically the N6. But I'll get to that one a little bit later. Right now, I'm at Farragut Square. This is a busy bus interchange here in Northwest D.C., not far from the White House, but it is also the starting point for the N2 and the N4. Traffic over here can get so bad. I've actually had it in the past where I missed the bus at this stop and then ran to the next stop and easily beat it there. So we're gonna get on an N4. That's the first one that's coming. And as I was speaking, the bus showed up, so I climbed aboard. It's a regular $2.25 fare or covered by any pass, and so our short trip through Northwest DC begins. Now for the first part, both the N2 and the N4 share a route together. It starts on Connecticut Avenue, one of the most important roads in Washington, D.C., and the namesake of the city's most obnoxious advocacy group. Once we reach DuPont Circle, take the circle to switch onto Massachusetts Avenue. Now you may have noticed that in front of us is another bus, the N2, and this actually works out perfectly as an illustration to show how the N4 and the N2 are different. But for now, like I said, we're sharing a route and we're on Massachusetts Avenue, and this is my favorite part of the whole route because it goes through Embassy Row. Absolutely one of my favorite neighborhoods in Washington, D.C., Almost all the buildings here are embassies or diplomatic residences, and the buildings are beautiful. There's a lot of greenery, but also it's just so cool to have a neighborhood like this in Washington, D.C. But then we cross Wisconsin Avenue and go past the National Cathedral, and this is where the N2 and the N4 split. The N4 that we're on is going to keep taking Massachusetts Avenue. It's going to go to Ward Circle, which is right in front of American University, and then it's going to take Massachusetts Avenue all the way until the border with Maryland, where it will take Western Avenue to Friendship Heights. But the N2 makes a little bit of a detour, turning left to go through the Cathedral Heights neighborhood. It'll take Idaho Avenue, Cathedral Avenue, and then New Mexico Avenue to Nebraska Avenue, crossing the M4 back at Ward Circle, and then going to the Tenleytown Metro Station before taking Wisconsin Avenue to Friendship Heights. Same beginning and end, but providing more capacity on the busy section and serving a wider area in the less busy section. All right, I have just come to Ward Circle. That N4 that I was on is going to take Massachusetts Avenue to Western to end at Friendship Heights, and literally a minute later that N2 that was in front of us came. That one's going to take Nebraska Avenue to Wisconsin Avenue and end at Friendship Heights. Pretty cool that we timed it so that they ran at about the same time. Nothing too weird about that though, it's actually pretty convenient. This seems like a clever way to serve a larger area using one corridor. Well, the weird part is coming in a little bit. Now all we have to do is wait a few hours. It is now evening, and I've walked over to New Mexico Avenue, not far away. As the light begins to fade, so does the number of N2s left on today's schedule. All right, it is a little bit after 7:30 p.m. I'm on New Mexico Avenue, and that was the very last N2 headed towards Farragut Square. In a few minutes, we'll see the last N2 headed towards Friendship Heights, and then I'm going to run to Massachusetts Avenue to catch the last N4s. And like I said, here we see the last N4 of the day. So now the N2 and the N4 have clocked out for the night, and if it's a Friday, they're done for the week. But you can still get to Farragut Square or Friendship Heights, because once the N2 and the N4 go to bed, a monster awakens to take over their shift. A monster known as the N6. So we just saw the first N6 of the night drive by. It left Friendship Heights, is headed towards Farragut Square, just drove through Ward Circle, coming from Massachusetts Avenue, going down Massachusetts Avenue. But let's wait at this exact same spot for a few minutes. So the N6 actually tries to be a little bit of both the N2 and the N4. So it's driving down Massachusetts Avenue and imitating the route of the N4. It's going to turn, take Idaho, New Mexico, Nebraska, basically copy the N2 until it comes right back here at Ward Circle and then takes Massachusetts Avenue for a second time, continuing all the way downtown. Now, this is kind of silly. It can be annoying if you're just trying to get there as fast as possible because you got the detour. If you're late and you just missed your bus, it can be really nice because in a few minutes it'll stop at your stop again. So here is the northbound N6 about to enter Ward Circle. Now we know that this bus is going to serve the detour around New Mexico Avenue, so you might think it would just take the circle to then do the reverse of what the southbound bus does. But no, this N6 is going to take the circle all the way around and then travel back down Massachusetts Avenue, literally serving the stops on the opposite side of the street that it just came from, and then take the detour in the same direction as the southbound service. Now, of course, I understand that when ridership is not as high, you want a route that can be more flexible. And it is great how the N6 takes care of regions served by both the N2 and the N4, but was this the best way they could have routed it? Does it make sense to literally just travel back down the street you just came from? I don't know. What do you guys think? So what that means is if you're at the bus stop right behind me and an N6 shows up, it could go straight to Farragut Square, it could go to Farragut Square via the detour, or it could be going to Friendship Heights. And if you want to go to Friendship Heights, you could get on this side or at the stop on the other side. Anyway, if you want to ride the N6, you better be fast because June 28th, 2025 is the last day this bus will run. Starting June 29th, the N2, N4, and N6 will be replaced by the D90 and the D96 bus. Thank you so much for watching today. Tune in next week to find out about the weirdest Metro bus in Maryland. In the meantime, stick around, check out some of our other content, and we'll see you next time.